Hello everyone, my name is Sohail. I'm a vetted ClickUp consultant. I also own and operate a workflow consultancy business. The purpose of today's video is nothing to do with coaching, but it's rather about showcasing the benefit of having digital workflow with the help of a tool like ClickUp or with the help of a work management tool like ClickUp. And for today's example, as you can see on the screen, I have made a small workflow for a service-based provider business like mine, which starts from discovery call, goes to quote and proposal. After successful acceptance of proposal, goes to planning, design, development, implement, support, and offboard stages. So I've chosen this example to showcase some of the challenges related to task completion and task execution in work management, namely accountability issues, responsibility issues, team planning and management, capacity planning, cross department interaction, and communication. So as you can see, the first thing, as you can see on the top, actually, there are a few views I have selected for today's video. So after I have successfully done a workflow or a small example in this case here, the next thing I try to do is I want to visualize how it looks, and that visualization gives me the confidence that the flow is correct and the flow is smooth and it's not too complicated. So for that purpose, I like to use the mind map view in ClickUp. And what it does is shows me the flow, which I have done as a list in here in the list view. As you can see, I can visualize that as a flow in here. So before starting a project, I actually go into this uh, view, have a look, and if I'm happy, then only I proceed to the next step in the project. So after I'm happy with the flow, I'll go to there are some columns you can see here. So I'll go to the assignee column, and I'll try to explain how it helps in terms of accountability. So there is a task. Right now there is no assignees. In short, there is I haven't defined who is going to do this task from my team, whether it's myself or someone else is going to do this task. So once I do that and I allocate this to myself, what it does is the task has been allocated to me to do, and it makes me accountable to finish this task. So I have addressed the accountability issue about the task. Now I'll go to due date and say, okay, so I'm going to do it, but when is it going to be due and by when it has to be done? So let's say I'll put it on the 12th and close. So now what I have done is I have made myself accountable and responsible to finish this discovery call task in here by the 12th or the Wednesday. And so I have made myself accountable. I have made myself responsible to finish this task as well. There are some other columns in here. That is time estimate. Now, this is a very important column or feature in ClickUp, which is useful to me for what I do. So what it does is, as you can see, there are some time estimates I have allocated towards the task or the phases. And there is a total here about a total about the whole project, how it will take to finish. So it says it's 93 hours. It should it's estimated by me to finish this sort of project. How it helps me is it helps me at various stages, but the first one, if I have a accurate estimate of time, I can quote right. I can quote accurately. Secondly, it helps me, if you see the next column next to it is a time track. So time estimate is the estimation you do to finish up all the tasks. Time track feature allows me to actually put in the time entries. Let's put one. So there are various ways, but I'll just do it manually for the time being for this example. And yeah, so once I save that, you can see that I said it will be 1 hour to finish the discovery call. But when I actually finished the task and I did the time entry, it took me 2 hours to do that. So once I finish that project, let's assume there will be a lot of entries here. Each task will have all the right time entries, and it comes to a total of 100 hours. So in the future, this time estimate entries and the actual time entries, if they are correct, it helps me to code the project right. and keeps my budget in track. Moving on to the next one, we spoke about team planning, management, capacity planning. So if you look at the calendar view, right now I can see my calendar and see there is only one task I have to complete on a Wednesday. So the main purpose I use the calendar view is to go on the view and see what I have to do today, what's due in the day or a day after that or in this week. So right now let's add some task and see, let's add some due date and assign myself to see how it looks. So there is only one at the moment for Wednesday. If I go in and add quote and proposal for uh, Thursday and allocate it to myself, now you can see it has been updated. So I know on a Thursday I have to finish this task as well along with the one I had on Wednesday. So it gives you an idea of what's coming up and what has to be done during the day or during the week. Let's move on to the next one, which is a workload view. Sorry. So workload view is a very useful view for capacity planning. Um, right now, if you can see, it's only myself in there, and I have said I've actually defined that in a week I'll be doing 40 hours of work. But right now, only 1 hour has been allocated to myself, which is coming from this discovery call. So workload view, if you see there, assuming, let's say if there were three, four team members here, each will be defined capacity and you can see how many hours of work they have for that particular week. So right now I can straight away say that I have more capacity to do work, and hence I go in and say allocate one task to myself for this week and see what it does to the workload view. So this is 40 hours estimated work I have to do for this task, which is a design task, and I allocate to myself and I allocate to be done by this Friday. So once I allocate that, you can go to the workload and see that I'm over capacity now. So this 40 hours is defined by the 5 days working week, Monday to Friday. So 40 hours for the entire week, and it's 41 hours now. But on daily basis, it's defined at 8 hours. It's at 8 hours capacity. So now, if assuming there were two, three team members here, I can look at their workload view and then say, okay, the other person can take some work off myself, and I start allocating it appropriately. So as you can see, that helps a lot in work capacity planning, and it keeps in check that people are not overworked or people have enough work to do for the task. Now, moving on to the next one, I spoke about cross department or interdepartment communication. So what I was referring to is, um, now what you see here is more of a front office function, which is about execution of the project. At the back office, there are a lot of functions, as you might know, to run a business. Namely, one is accounts. So once this project, let's say it was completed, this front office person has to let know the accounts person to do their task, and their task is like raising an invoice for, in this case. So what, instead of sending email, I have created an automation here, which certain status changing in from certain status to certain status, in this case from open to done, will notify or send that task to the accounts department list, and that account person will be notified that it's now they can perform their task into the accounting system. So at the time of this recording, ClickUp didn't had any billing or invoicing functionality in it. So this automation is merely about communicating to the accounts department that front office is asking you to invoice the client, and then once this notification or the task has been received by the accounts person, he or she, the person, and enters this into the accounting software. Once they enter in the accounting software, whatever detail they need to pass it on back to the front office, like invoice number and amount, they manually enter it back into their task, and then that's how they notify the front office that it's been done. So I'll show that to you in action right now. So what I have done in this case, automation, let's assume this support and offboard task. It's completed by the front office. It took them 5 hours to do this. They are saying the client name is this, the description is 5 hours of support work offline. So now please keep an eye on certain columns, because the automation says once this goes from open to done, it should assign someone here. It should put in a start date. It should add a new tag of billable here, and then it should move to the accounts list. So let's put that in action. It will be pretty quick. So I go from open to done, and you can see there is a assignee, there is a start date, and it also moved. Don't worry, it's in the it's moved. As I said, it's pretty quick. It moved to accounts receivable or accounts list. Now you can see it actually came up with that tag. It's been assigned to a person. It has a due date, and the status also came through with, so it is basically good here. So once in reality, when the accounts person gets this, the person, he or she, the person has been notified that they need to take action, or in this case they need to go to the accounting system, enter the details what they need, take the details from here, create the invoice in the accounting system. Once they are done, the workflow is they come back here, enter manually the invoice number and the total of the invoice, and then once they are done here, it's communicated back to the front office. So let's do that. So let's assume that the accounts person has entered everything in the accounting system. That person now has the invoice number. Let's just say he entered the invoice number into the task and the amount. Okay, so as we have defined the workflow for the accounts person to enter back the invoice number and the total here, he has done that, and then finish this or close this. Now again, there is a second automation. As I said, as I mentioned to you, it's about communicating it back to the front office also. So in this case, instead of moving the task, I'm just duplicating this task to the front office and notifying them that it's been done by accounts. So in this case, what we'll do, this automation, once it's going from done to close, it will add a tag here, which is a AR tag, and then it will be duplicated into the front office list which we are looking at previously. So let's put that into close so the automation kicks in. So it stays here as well, and then it's duplicated in here. You see this support and offboard, and what it did is as the automation was defined to put in a tag of AR, it has been done, and it also came back, obviously because it's duplicated task, it has the invoice number and the total. So now the front office knows, or the business owner, the managers know that a task was a support task which became a billable task. It's gone to accounts did their invoice entry into the accounting system, and then they manually entered the invoice number and the details as requested, and it came back to the front office here. So then they are relieved that whatever work had to be built has been built. There is nothing left to be billing, and they are satisfied that the work is flowing nicely. So I hope this small example of a small workflow starting from discovery call, code proposal planning, design development, implement stage, which I have used, showcase you how I tackle the task management issue, namely the accountability, responsibility, team planning, capacity planning, and inter department communication. And I hope you also found value in terms of understanding how digital workflow can help you to tackle the issues of task management.